Alright guys, this is Rob Gray from Mulligan Mint. I'm here in the Mint getting a tour of how it's done. Hello Rob.
Hi there Jeff, thanks a lot everybody out there for watching here today. So basically Mulligan Mint is a full service mint. We've got the ability to melt, cast, roll, blank, rib, anneal, burnish, and coin. All those stations we do here in-house. We don't do any refining, but we start with 0.999 refined grade, that's 4.9 fine. And it all starts back here in the casting section. One of the other things we've done here is we've tried to go redundant in almost every station, and eventually we will have full redundancy on every station. But back here, we're in the process right now of setting up 2 continuous casters. We've got a small one that we'll use eventually for gold, and then a larger one that we're using for silver. So these casters, each one have the ability to cast more than 10,000 ounces of silver per hour. The way they work, if you take a look at this over here, Jeff, basically you've got a graphite crucible, and the crucible has a little hole in the bottom. And so we put the silver inside of the crucible, it heats up to about 2200 degrees Fahrenheit, and then the silver starts to melt, and it goes out of that hole in the bottom. That hole in the bottom connects to a die, and the die's got a slot that's about 3.5 inches wide, 3.25 inches wide, and about ½ an inch thick, and it pulls that material through that die. At the same time, the die has cooling blocks on it. You can see here these cooling blocks that are connected to our water cooling system. So what these cooling blocks do is they cool down the die temperature just enough so that the silver starts to solidify inside of the die. And then when you're starting the caster, the die comes out here, you've got a starter bar that plugs in there, and it feeds that material as it comes out slowly through this pulse motor system. And what this pulse motor does is it's designed to advance the material out of the bottom of the caster about a ½ inch every second. And so every second pulls the material a little further out, a little further out, a little further out, and makes what's called a continuous cast bar. You can see over here then, we've got our cutting bench, and so every 3 feet, we're taking that material as it comes out, pulling this thing down, chopping that into a 3-foot bar. Every 3 feet, we cut off a bar that's about 3.25 inches wide, about ½ inch thick.
And then we move over to the rollers?
We go from here to the rollers. So the next step in the process is really the place where a lot of precision matters. And so we've got 2 rolling mills here. This is a 1920 something model. It's a giant beast, but it's absolutely very precise. So we know that every time we use this roller, we're always going to get the exact gauge that we're looking for. The roller that we have on the other side is brand new. We had it custom manufactured from us from a company out in India, and they built it, and you can they built it for us from scratch. But you can see the size of these rollers. These are 10-inch wide rollers. And the amount of pressure they put down is able to easily take a hot bar of silver and get it all the way down to the appropriate gauge very quickly. We have to pass it back and forth through there about 15 times to eliminate all the work lines that are formed from the casting process. So we go from the caster all the way down to the roller, we roll it down to the appropriate gauge.
So a 3-foot bar that's cast out ends up being how long?
It comes out to about 15 feet.
15-foot bar, and then from there we take it?
We take it from here all the way over to our punch press. Now we only have 1 punch press right now, but we'll have a second one in here shortly. The punch press is actually, it's tooled right now to make 2 blanks with every punch. So you can see the punch press tool down there. And so basically every time the punch press closes, it knocks out 2 planchets. You can see here what it looks like on copper strip. Now we don't actually melt and roll copper here in-house. It's less expensive for us to buy manufactured copper coil. And so you can see our copper coil there on the unloading mechanism. So the copper comes down here, it's fed into the press, and we're making copper blanks right there. Silver, we feed it by hand. It's a little bit more of a manual process, but it works exactly the same way. The only difference is the copper strip is a little thicker than the silver strip, and that's because silver's more dense than copper is.
Gotcha.
Safety is a big concern here at Mulligan Mint, and so we have things like light curtains, where if you try to put your hand through there, the press stops instantaneously. We'll see if we get this thing fired up for you in just a few minutes so you can see how it works. The problem with rolling and punching is it makes the material very hard. And so you've got these nice planchets that come out of the bottom here, but they become very hard. And when the planchets are very hard, it makes them very difficult to strike to get that nice 3D design to pop out of that coin. So what we do from there is we actually take the silver and we put it onto this 35-foot long annealing furnace belt. As you can see here, we're lining the coins up to go into the oven where it'll heat them up.
Planchets.
That's right. So these are rim planchets we just got in today. We checked them for weight. Everything looks good, but they're too hard. And so now we've got to put them on this annealing belt. It's going to take it through a furnace where it's heated up to about 1100 degrees. And then what we do is we control the atmosphere here on the way down in the cooling process. We got 1150 degrees. We're going here, advancing at 10 inches per minute. And so we have nitrogen and one other chemical going in there to keep an inner atmosphere so that we don't get oxidation on the outside of the coin. So
Gotcha.
it takes a ride all the way down here. We'll check back here in a few minutes to see them popping out at the bottom of the annealing furnace. But basically they'll come out here, they go down into a bucket. Now they're nice and soft and they're ready to be burnished. We got Joe over here who manages this whole entire area. Joe probably can show us how the burnishing drum works. It's a little loud, but essentially this is called a burnishing and deburring mill. And so once the coins come out of the annealer, sometimes they have some rough spots on them, rough edges, or a dull finish. And so what we do is we fire them up in the burnishing drum. And you can see how this process works here. Basically, we've got 1,500 pounds of stainless steel shot that the coins roll around in for up to 30, 40 minutes, depending on the quality of the blank. Thanks, Joe. You turn that off now. So the coins are going to roll around in there for 30, 40 minutes.
So basically it's going to take a duller looking planchet and it's going to make them nice and shiny, ready to be pressed, right?
That's exactly right. And depending on what kind of coin we're running, we might run them in there longer. If we're making a proof medallion, we want to have all the rough spots off there. We want to have a really nice, we call it like an orange peel mirror finish. It's got nice dimpling, it's nice and soft, and then that way when we take it over to the coin presses, we'll get it designed to pop out at you right away with a beautiful mirror finish.
And then right after that, moving to quality control?
Yeah, we go over and we do some hand drying over here. We're also inspecting
okay.
all the coins to make sure that they don't have any kind of graphite marks in them or crucible marks from the manufacturing process. 90% of the work that goes into making a coin is just making that little planchet itself, that little blank as we call it. And so that's where most of the effort, most of the quality comes into play. But once that's done, we're ready to coin. Now over here we've got 3 hydraulic presses. This press that you see here was actually the first one that we picked up to do death medallions back in late October of 2012. And we actually ran more than 50,000 death coins by hand. Since then we've added 2 more hydraulic presses, and we've also added these automatic feed mechanisms on the back. I'm not sure if we're running fully automatic right now, but essentially the feed mechanism has a magazine on top that loads blanks into a part pusher that knocks the last coin out of the press and loads another blank in there. The problem with the automatic feed, sometimes it feeds too many, and then all of a sudden we've got cracked collars on our hand. We make a lot of cracked collars around here. So these are the hydraulic presses. Over here we've got a different press technology. These are actually knuckle joint presses. So we've got our Columbia 360, which is the Cadillac of 1-ounce coin presses. We're not running any jobs on there right now, but you can see that it's on. And it's ready to strike at 60 to 120 coins a minute, anything we throw at it. It's great for bullion quality coins. And then over here we've got 3 additional presses. These are the presses that we actually picked up first. They came right out of the Denver Mint, where they were actually set up for years, making pennies. And so we've decided to repurpose them here. The U.S. government was kind enough to completely depreciate them. These presses, brand new, were more than $1 million each. And so we've repurposed them here now to do 10th-ounce fractional silver. We've seen a huge demand spike in fractional silver from
So you're talking about an alternative to constitutional or bag silver.
Yeah, junk silver is very, very hot right now because it's small units and people know what junk silver is. They can recognize it, they like it, they trust it, but it's getting hard to find and the premiums are through the roof right now. It's getting very expensive.
So basically, for everyone listening, we're talking pre-65 dimes, quarters, half dollars.
That's right. And so one of our core products as we developed additional lines here at the Mint is going to be 10th-ounce fractional silver. We can actually take a close-up over here and kind of see how things were set up in the Denver Mint. Inside of the press, we actually have 2 tools. So this machine is set up to run 2 jobs at the same time. And then inside of each one of the tools, it actually has room for 2 dies. And so this machine is capable of producing 4 10th-ounce silver coins per strike and speeds up to 200 strikes per minute. And so we've got 3 of them here. One of them is probably going to be used for spare parts, but that gives us 2 presses at up to 800 coins a minute. So we're looking to make about 160 10th ounce silver coins. I'm sorry, 1,600 10th ounce silver coins here per minute at the Mulligan Mint. So we got a lot to look forward to. I think my math's right.
Well, beautiful. I greatly appreciate you taking me on a tour through this, and I'll tell you what, it's fun seeing those shiny coins when they get in your hand, but seeing how it works is even cooler.
Well, just remember, it's all about delivering a consistent, high-quality product to the customer. So back here, we've got a final quality control station. All the medallions, once they're minted, get delivered here to this table where we go through and once again spot check every single coin. We come back there, we weigh them in tubes of 20, we know exactly what they are, and then once they come out over here, we actually produce a label that goes on top of each one of the sealed tubes, so we know where it was packed, what date, what time, what product is in that tube, and we put it all there, and then we're putting it inside of a sealed box of 500.
And we have the new label process in place now, I see.
It works.
We have the new boxes in place now. We have the new binding machine in place.
We strap it together. Back here you can see some of our dies that we keep in inventory. We've got a lot of different dies for a lot of different projects that we've worked on over the years.
So these are all the things that make the strike on the planchets to make the beautiful coins.
We've got some proof-like dies.
So you got a little
up
John
here.
Galt right here.
You've got some BU dies. These dies are all set up for our hydraulic presses. And then down here you can see a drawer full of dies that are set up for our Columbia press. So these are high-speed dies.
That looks familiar. A little Freedom Girl.
Little Freedom Girl right there. So we do all of our die care, die polishing over here. And that's about all for the really quick version of the tour. But we're having a lot of fun. We're learning a lot. We're making fewer and fewer mistakes as we become more and more experienced. We've got a cool team that's come together, and we're looking forward to what the future of the silver market is going to provide and create for us. So we're ready to be a part of it and have a lot of fun along the way.
Well, thank you, Rob. This is exciting to see. I appreciate you having me down here.
Thanks again, Jeff.
All right.